Hey everyone, welcome to the program. I'm Rebecca McLaughlin-Easton, and this week it's all fun and games as we explore the evolution of the electronic entertainment industry. We speak to a man who many call the father of video gaming. He's an entrepreneur, he's an engineer, and the co-founder of Atari.
I'm 76 years old and I'm still in the game.
A little bit later in the show, we'll assess the region's gaming potential, visiting a UAE festival and flexing our thumbs with players who are looking to take things to the next level. In the early 1970s, Atari quickly became famous for its smash hit video arcade game Pong, and it enjoyed very little competition for quite a while. But much has changed in 50 years, as I discovered when I sat down with Nolan Bushnell. When Pong burst upon the nascent gaming scene, it sent ripples through the industry as the first commercially successful video game. Its parent company Atari revolutionized the home gaming market, and its sales rocketed until the video game market became saturated and crashed, particularly in the States in 1983. Far from discouraged, Bushnell went on to set up more than 20 other companies. He even mixed food into the equation with the launch of the Chuck E. Cheese Pizza Time theater chain in 1977. The innovator was named one of the 50 men who changed America by Newsweek, and he's also been inducted into the Video Game Hall of Fame. And 7 years ago, Bushnell developed a concept called Brain Rush, which uses video game technology to help children learn faster. On a recent trip to the UAE, the industry pioneer sat down to talk to Inspire. Nolan, a very warm welcome to Inspire Middle East.
Good to be here.
What is the next big thing in gaming? You're the expert, so tell me.
The next thing that I'm excited about is the smart speaker world. Amazon Alexa, Google Home, what have you. Because that matches artificial intelligence and narrative. So we're building a series of board games right now that you talk to and they answer. And so the one we're just bonkers about right now is one called Saint Noir, in which you're the detective and you're interviewing suspects. And the suspects can lie to you. And you have to figure out who's lying, and that's the perp. Okay. And it's fun.
Talk to me about virtual suits, body skins, jackets, smart clothing, basically. Something that will take the gamer inside the game itself. What are the limitations with that, and could it become the next frontier? Is that where we're headed?
We can replace the eyes with virtual reality and the ears and the nose, but the skin, touch, feel, all that sort of stuff, that's really hard, very hard, because first of all, it's big. And second of all, you want people to feel things, but you don't want to hurt them. So it's really a area that probably has the farthest to go in terms of technology.
Talk to me about the darker side of gaming. It doesn't always get the best press, not least from protective parents. Where do you stand on that? Should there be more regulation?
I'm in general adverse to regulation. I believe that there needs to be a rating system, much like movies, and I think that's the responsibility of parents. Like, I was asked several years ago to present an award to Grand Theft Auto, and I said, I don't believe that that game should be honored. Now, that's the dark side, the great side. Minecraft, probably one of the best pieces of educational software that's ever been written.
Speaking of violence in games, though, it sells. It's playing into the hands of a customer base that is very keen. So how do we get away from that? What's the psyche behind it?
Very good question. It turns out that kill or be killed is an interesting game dynamic. The trick is to not take it seriously. But it's really fascinating how these games are actually fun, and you can get adrenaline going and all that.
With your video technology for smart learning, what you call BrainRush, your educational software, when do you foresee a time when this will be rolled out across the educational system in the United States and even further afield? Is that your ambition?
World domination, that's what I'm always looking for. No, here's the thing. Active learning is at least 10 times more effective than passive learning. When you're hearing a lecture, that's passive. When you're reading a book, that's passive. The minute you have to respond, that's the active learning part. Now we're going to put it one step further. We're going to link blockchain tokens so that our software is you cannot complete the lesson until you know it all, absolutely. And it keeps testing you. The test is integrated into the learning. So we can give you a reward. We're going to pay kids to learn. Kids who are now learning get these tokens, blockchain, and can now redeem them in our prize center. It's kind of like Chuck E. Cheese, but for learning.
Is smart learning being fully embraced? Is it being introduced as quickly as you would like? Or is there still a resistance and a falling back to the tried and tested methods?
There's massive resistance. And I quite frankly don't understand it. And it can only come from teachers who are scared, administrators who are stupid, and parents who want the best for their kids and don't want to take risks.
Looking back at the legacy that you're going to leave on the gaming world, what would be your proudest moment?
So I guess I'm most proud of the fact that I'm 76 years old and I'm still in the game.
What a perfect way to end our interview. It's been a pleasure, Nolan. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Some regional players in the gaming industry are creating personalized content to win a bigger slice of the global market share. Salim Saeed has more on the developers in Abu Dhabi who are taking matters into their own hands to up their game.
When you think of major video game hubs in the world, countries in the Middle East probably don't come to mind. Yet events like the Yas Gaming Festival in Abu Dhabi are looking to change that and develop the culture of digital fun in the region. The MENA gaming market makes up 2.5% of the $135 billion of sales brought in by the global market, according to Tom Widgman at Newzoo, a Netherlands-based games analytics company. Some say the key to unlocking the region's potential is through localization, or customizing games by adapting language and cultural elements. One example is a UAE content creation company called Wizzo, which developed a game called Invasion, starring Lebanese pop star Haifa Wahbi in animated form. International companies are keen to get in on the act too, from France's Ubisoft to China's Mina Mobile.
They're looking for local partners to set up with here to localize their products. Doing so, they need to establish, let's say, studios, regional offices in the MENA region. They'll be employing more youngsters, more Arabs. That means there'll be knowledge transfer, there'll be actual experience for our people on the ground. That will help actually grow and attract investment in the region.
While PC and console games make up the second and third largest segments of the MENA gaming market, it's handheld mobile devices that are generating the most revenue from the region, making up more than half the market and attracting the attention of local independent game developers. I met with independent Emirati game developer Fakhra al-Mansouri, who started her company Hybrid Humans, creating mostly mobile phone games about 5 years ago. One of the most popular games is a multiplayer racing game called Falcon Valley, which highlights local Emirati culture. It found its way to Apple's App Store, earning the title Game of the Day in 2017. Al-Mansouri says the journey hasn't been easy, and she spends thousands of her own money to sustain the business.
Part of the biggest challenge is getting the financial support, because at the start I did try to find investors, but most of them don't understand what video games are. They think it's too risky, but we need that education level to be spread out throughout the community, locally and regionally.
She generates most of her money from advertisements and by selling digital products inside free downloadable games, but says it's not enough. To keep afloat, she develops interactive applications for clients, such as this application called KidX for the UAE government, an adventure game where children can learn about being the best possible citizen. Or this cybersecurity training program, which uses virtual reality to teach safe digital practices. In addition to educating through games, Al-Mansouri says telling stories the whole world can relate to is at the heart of what she does.
We know so much about the American culture because we grew up with those mediums, but the rest of the world doesn't know much about us as like Emiratis or as Arab or Muslims. So we have this medium to kind of like tell stories that could be meaningful or it could be silly.
A successful game is all about pushing the right buttons with gamers at the end of the day, and creating a bonding experience is what truly earns the most points.
Well, that is all that we have time for in this edition of the show. Be sure to catch all of our episodes online at Euronews.com. Before I speed off, here are some gamers that caught our attention on social media this week. Abdul Sattar and a friend rocked out at an arcade in Cairo. Jana was happy with her ticket earnings in Beirut. And Barty the cat chose the video game console as his favourite spot in his home of the UAE.